Today I'm going to give you my impressions on the Ninja Foodi Smartlid Oral 701. We've had this for about a year, and during that time we probably cook on this Ninja Foodi 2 or 3 times a day. So we've got hundreds and hundreds of cooks on the Ninja Foodi. Some of the videos I've uploaded, and I got a few more that I'm going to do some uploading on. But I just want to give you my impressions on this Ninja Foodi Oral 701. Now, in our area, climate's kind of unpredictable. So a lot of times during the year, I can't make use of the outdoor grills. So we've been pretty much using the Ninja Foodi exclusively. You know, we use the toaster oven now and then for other types of food like pizzas and stuff. But most of our dinners and our snacks, we use the Ninja Foodi Smartlid almost exclusively. Now, in the past, I've told you about cooking proteins or the meats using the basket. Well, since then, I've gone and started using the rack at the upper setting. And I put a silicone on top of it, so food has a tendency to get stuck on the metal grids. So I use the silicone, and this has worked fine. At first, I was kind of worried that having this thing closer to the cooking element is going to cause a lot of splatter, but that hasn't been the case. So this has turned out to be pretty good, and since it's closer to the element, it's going to cook faster and brown the food faster. Now, one thing I don't like about using the grids is that, you know, it's got places where food gets stuck into, and you got to do some elbow grease to get it off. So it's not exact NSF certified type of material, but for the home use, it's fine. And, you know, use the silicone pad on top like it says. So, you know, if you're cooking fish or something on it, you don't have to do that much scrubbing. Now, when you're cooking proteins like your steaks, fish, pork, the thickness of the meat is going to be your telling point on the amount of crispness and brownness you want on top. Ideally, you want to use meats that 3/4 inch, inch and a half. The thicker that the meat, the browner it's going to be on top because it's going to cook longer. Now, if you're using meats that's maybe 1/2 inch or what's typically sliced in your grocery meat case, you probably want to cook by time. And generally, I find that 10 minutes is good enough for pork and beef. Just flip it over when it tells you to flip over. Anything above 3/4, 1 inch, I use the thermometer, and this way I don't have to sit there and keep an eye on the food. It pretty much sets the temperature and time automatically. Now, when you use the slow cook function, you have a choice between a high and low. Well, the difference between the high and low is the amount of time it takes to reach the end temperature. Because the high and low, the end temperature is going to be exactly the same, which is right around simmering, or I reckon right around, when I took measurements, probably right around 80 to 190 degrees. So just below boiling. The difference between low and high is that on the low setting, it ramps it up to the end temperature at a slow rate, whereas high setting takes it up to that end temperature as quick as possible and holds it there. So if you're cooking something delicate, you want to probably do it on low, but most of the time you're doing slow cooking, you just keep it on high and then just move on with your cooking. We use all these functions pretty much. Air fry we use it all the time. Bacon roast, proofing the bread, you know, we use that once in a while, but you know, you have to be careful on the proof because if you leave the dough in there too long, you start to bake the dough. Dehydrate it, you know, I did strawberry once and I used a whole pint of strawberry and just got a handful of dehydrated fruits. So to me, it's not worth it time and cost wise. You just go to the store and buy it. Sear and saute, we use it all the time if you're doing, especially if one pot cooking. Steam, slow cook, we use it all the time for our beef stew and pot roast. We make yogurt all the time. We probably make yogurt once a week on this at a 1/2 gallon at a time, so that works out fine. And actually we have the steaming crisp. You know, we use it all the time for our salmon and for our whole chicken. Steam and bake, we use it exclusively for baking our cakes. And then actually you got the pressure setting. So this thing has turned out to be a very good investment. It does almost all of our cooking like it says before. Now, during this time, you know, it's been pretty reliable. We have no issues with the machine itself doing the cooking. But there are some points that I want to bring up that we did find, I won't say being negative, but it could be. So let's start out with the actual cleaning process itself. This is what it looks like after a year's worth of usage. Now, if you notice the coil itself, the coil is pretty clean. In fact, I haven't touched the coil in a year's time. Usually when you're doing pressure cooking or steaming, you can get a little water that condenses up here. And then you just wipe it down with a cloth, and that's all I had to do. I mean, I haven't cleaned this at all. And this one here, the underside lid, I haven't cleaned at all either. I just wipe it down when it's wet from pressure cooking or steam cooking, and that's all it needed. The only thing you got to clean is naturally the gasket. And this thing here will get dirty, but you just pretty much, wipe it down with a magic eraser and it's good to go. And then this ring around here will get some grease splatter, get burnt on there. Because of the type of metal that's used, it'll burn on a lot more than this outer metal here. So that's it for cleaning. I mean, like it says, I rarely clean the underside of this unit, and we use this thing for hundreds of cooks. And this is what it looks like. It's in pretty good condition. Now, another thing that I found is somewhat as a negative is the measurements here is engraved into the metal, which is a nice thing. If it's a silk screen on it, it'll probably rub off by now. But the problem with this is that when you're cooking, the food will get stuck into these grooves, and then over time it's going to bake into it. So you got to be diligent in cleaning these things and trying to get a brush or something in there to keep it clean. It's not NSF certified naturally because they won't allow that. But, just mind your diligence and keeping this thing clean. Another thing that we found an issue with the ceramic coating is that over time, you're going to see it start to chip up on you. And that's because of the metal racks that we stick in there. So now what we've done is that we purchased one of the silicone mats here, but we just lay it down and then set the rack on top of it. And this way, the rack doesn't scratch it up. But another more annoying thing about this, the ceramic coating itself, is that over time it becomes more and more nonstick. It's still nonstick, but you're going to have to use more elbow grease as time goes on. We've done our due diligence in cleaning it. We use magic eraser, the kitchen scrubbing, and then actually the vinegar and baking soda solution. And it's held up pretty good. I mean, it's still nonstick, but I found out that over time you have to use more and more elbow grease to keep it clean or to make it nonstick. So in other words, it's not as nonstick a year later as it was when it was brand new. And from what I read on the internet, that's pretty common with the ceramic coating type of nonstick coatings. The good thing is that replacement, this inner pot, is not that expensive. It's right around $25. The only other negative I found with the Ninja Foodi system had to deal with the thermometer. It started giving me false readings. In other words, my food was starting to be undercooking. And then I reached out to Ninja Foodi and they told me, well, the thermometer is not covered under warranty because they consider it a usable item. I spoke to people at Ninja, the customer service, and they said that the thermometer is not covered under warranty. They considered it to be a wearable item. But I pointed out to them on their warranty page that it does not mention the thermometer as being a wearable item. So they acknowledged that it was not explicitly written on the warranty. So they offered to sell me a brand new thermometer for half off. So that's not bad, $10. And then while I was talking to them, I brought up the mention about the inner pot with the nonstick coating starting to chip and peel off. And I realized that that's a wearable item. But they said that since warranting the thermometer at half off, they'll sell me the inner pot for half off. So customer service, kudos to the Ninjas for doing that. And I got a hold of them pretty quickly, so that was not an issue. Now the problem with the thermometer was not the thermometer itself, but when you put it into this case. Now my thermometer, right at this point here, was actually bent. Okay, and that was giving me the false reading. This is a thermocoupler, so it goes by resistance, and that the resistance level tells this computer what the temperature is. And then if you got a little break in here, your resistance is going to be off, and that's what's happening to me. So what happens is that when you put the thermometer into this case like this, and you see what's happening here, that's a sharp bend, and that's the exact point where I had problems with my thermometer. So it wasn't the actual usage of this, it was putting this thing away in this case over here. So now I don't put it in the case anymore, I just set it in the drawer in the island, and this way I don't have to worry about breaking this connection here. So yeah, the bend is kind of tight and this cable is kind of stiff, so you can see, even the time that when they sent it to me, you can see a slight bend in there, and over time it just got worse and worse. But I've learned that, and I hope that maybe you guys would start putting this thing away in a drawer rather than putting it in a case. It'll save you the problem of having a bad thermometer. So all in all, it's a very short review because there's not much to say about it. This Ninja Foodi Smartlid does everything that they advertise it to do and more. It's been a very convenient factor for us. Using the thermometer, it cooks the food perfectly, so we don't have to sit there and keep an eye on it. Pressure cooking, everything about it, it worked as they advertise, and most often, I think it exceeded our expectation on the actual usage and utility of this device. So I hope you found this video informative. Please click the like button. When you have a chance, please subscribe. and thank you for watching.